So while the entire world has been glued to this massive spending war between OpenAI and Google, a Chinese company you've probably never even heard of has quietly taken over a huge piece of the AI market in Africa, and they did it for free. Microsoft just put out a warning to investors, basically saying, we are all watching the wrong race. China isn't trying to outspend Silicon Valley. No, they're winning by making AI so incredibly cheap that the developing world literally can't afford not to use it. Welcome to AI Verdict. Today we're going to trace the strategy that has Silicon Valley scrambling, figure out why Apple just surrendered to Google, and explore why the whole era of chatbots is ending to make way for something new, AI agents.
Okay, so let's start with that number right there, 18%. In less than a year, a single Chinese company has captured 18% of the entire AI market in Africa. How? By giving away their powerful AI for absolutely nothing.
In that quote, that is the blunt warning from Microsoft's own president, Brad Smith. It's a real shot across the bow at the whole Silicon Valley way of thinking. See, the focus on these massive budgets and $20 a month subscriptions might be grabbing headlines here in the West, but China is playing a totally different game. A much, much bigger game built on access for everyone and global scale.
So let's really break down this strategy. It is a masterclass in turning a weakness into a major strength, and it all revolves around a company called DeepSeek.
I mean, just look at the difference here. On one hand, you've got American companies charging a premium, $20 a month for ChatGPT+. On the other, DeepSeek is flooding developing countries from Ethiopia to Cuba with top-tier AI that costs $0. Their models come pre-installed on Huawei phones. No subscription, no credit card required. You just use it.
And this just completely blows up the Silicon Valley story that to compete in AI, you need data centers the size of a small city and billions of dollars in hardware. DeepSeek just proved you don't need to burn endless cash to build a world-class model.
So how did they pull this off? Well, they turned a huge restriction into their secret weapon. Because of US export controls, China couldn't get its hands on the best NVIDIA chips. So instead of trying to compete on raw hardware power, they got smarter with their software. They focused on pure efficiency, better algorithms, and really high-quality synthetic data. That's AI-generated data they use to train other AIs. And then, the killer move. They released their model as open source, letting anyone, anywhere, build on top of it. No gatekeepers. But here's the thing. DeepSeek isn't some lone wolf. They're part of this powerful group of Chinese AI startups they call the Six Tigers, and they're all funded by giants like Alibaba and Tencent. And these aren't just copycats. They are serious innovators.
Let's just look at a few of them. You've got Zhipu AI, which is already filing for an IPO with a model that goes toe-to-toe with GPT-4. Then there's Moonshot AI with a chatbot called Kimi that is an absolute game changer for research. And O1.ai, started by the legendary Kai-Fu Lee, which topped all the performance benchmarks using just a tiny fraction of the computing power of its rivals in the West.
And let's talk about that 2 million number for a second. That's the real jaw-dropper. Moonshot AI's Kimi chatbot can process 2 million characters of text at one time. To put that in perspective, that's like feeding it 5 full-length books and then having it answer detailed questions about all of them at once.
Okay, so now let's flip the script and come back to the West. Because while China was busy focusing on accessibility, Apple, the most valuable company on Earth, just made a move that basically admits they can't win this race on their own anymore.
I mean, really think about that. Apple has spent decades building this image that they control everything, that they do it all in-house, the whole stack, and then they looked at the AI landscape and pretty much said, yeah, we can't do this by ourselves. They are now reportedly paying Google to use its Gemini model to be the new brain for Siri.
And that's the rumored price tag, $1 billion per year. That's the cost of admission to stay relevant in the AI race, even for a company that's worth $3 trillion.
But here's the clever part. Apple isn't just handing over the keys to Google. They're shifting to what they're calling a multi-provider strategy. Essentially, your iPhone is about to become a brain router, automatically picking the best AI for whatever you're trying to do.
It's basically a 3-tiered system. So for simple things on your phone like setting an alarm, Siri will use Apple's own AI models. For general knowledge questions, who won the World Series in 1988? It'll tap into Google Gemini. But for really complex, deep research, it can send your request over to OpenAI's ChatGPT. And the market noticed this immediately. Right after the deal was announced, Alphabet's market cap shot past Apple's because investors are betting that the AI brain is now way more valuable than the shiny hardware it runs on.
Now you'd think Google would be celebrating, right? Well,
their victory comes with a huge catch. Just as they're inking this massive deal with Apple, they're facing a monster threat from a federal monopoly ruling that could tear their whole business apart.
So get this, the court found that Google was paying over $20 billion a year to companies like Apple and Samsung just to make sure Google was the default search engine. The judge called it anti-competitive, and the potential fix is just stunning. They might force Google to share its most valuable asset, its search data, with rivals like OpenAI.
So Google can see the writing on the wall. They know search is vulnerable. So they're making a massive pivot. We are officially moving out of the era of chatbots that talk to you and into the era of AI agents that do things for you. It's the difference between asking an AI for a recipe versus having the AI order the groceries and schedule the delivery.
And this is happening way faster than you think. Meta just bought Manus AI, an action engine that can research a topic and build you a whole presentation in about 30 minutes. Anthropic released Claude Computer Use, which is basically an AI assistant that can go into your messy computer files and organize them all into a neat spreadsheet for your taxes. And Google, to defend against that legal threat, just launched what they're calling the Universal Commerce Protocol.
This is their big defensive play. The protocol lets AI agents do your shopping for you, checking inventory at Walmart or Target, and then placing the order without you ever having to click a single button. They even introduced this feature called agentic checkout. You can just tell an AI, hey, I want to buy this laptop, but only if the price drops below $800. The agent will then watch the price for you, and the second it hits your target, it automatically buys it.
So what's the final piece of the puzzle? Well, it's taking these digital agents and giving them hands, giving them a physical body. The biggest problem for humanoid robots has always been getting enough training data, but researchers might have just cracked that code.
This new framework is called VPRA, and what it does is it allows robots to learn how to do complex physical things just by watching YouTube videos. The robot isn't just mimicking what it sees, it's building what's called a world model. In other words, it's developing a real intuitive understanding of physics and gravity and how things work, just from observation, and that lets it apply that knowledge to totally new situations it's never seen before.
So here it is, the AI verdict. You've really got two competing philosophies right now. China is absolutely winning on efficiency and global distribution. They're capturing the next billion users by making AI powerful and free. At the same time, the US is winning on deep integration and premium user interfaces, embedding AI into the phones and services that billions of us already use every day.
But the real story here, the biggest shift, isn't about geography at all. It's about function. It's about what AI is becoming. We are moving away from systems that explain things to systems that execute things, from chatbots that answer your questions to agents that complete your tasks. The goal is the same everywhere, to create an AI that stops talking and starts doing.
This future isn't a matter of if anymore. It's already here. It's being built as we speak. So the real question is, are you ready to hand over your shopping, your research, your taxes, and maybe even parts of your job to an AI agent? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm Naeem for AI Verdict. See you in the next one.